This is the Jesse Kelly Show.
Got plenty of beer, ain't got no money.
It is the Jesse Kelly Show, and any song that is that bad can only mean one thing and one thing only here on the Jesse Kelly Show. It means our guest failed to pick a song, and you know the rule here on the show. If you don't pick one, we will pick the worst song we can find as your introduction song. So joining me now is an amazing investigative journalist doing some great work out there. However, someone who made a musical mistake, Parker Thayer. Parker, I bet you won't make that mistake again, will you, brother?
Oh, no, I certainly won't, but I have to say you might have made a mistake as well, because you definitely could have gone with the worst song. You could have gone with Dylan Mulvaney's new song.
That's a very fair point. That's a fair point. All right. So before I bring in Parker to talk about what he's going to talk about, a couple things. We don't realize you could write a book on this. Someone should, probably Parker should. You could write an entire book on how much evil you fund with the money you spend in corporate America. And I'm pointing fingers at myself, too. The average American does not understand how a lot of these corporations work. But there are degrees of evil in the corporate world. Patagonia is something, anybody who's outdoorsy had always heard of Patagonia. I grew up hiking, hunting, fishing. I know all about Patagonia. Very, very popular. Patagonia is a uniquely evil company. Parker, it's your story. It's your work. It's not mine. The floor is yours.
Yeah. I also grew up loving Patagonia. I'm a big outdoorsman myself. I don't think most people realize this, but a few years ago, the founder of Patagonia, his name's Yvon Chouinard, he gave his entire company, 98% of shares, to a left-wing dark money group that's managed by a for-profit company called the Holdfast Collective. That company runs 5 nonprofits. They're called, people like to call them dark money 501c4 advocacy groups. In total, it was $1.7 billion between 5 nonprofits. It was the biggest dark money contribution in United States history. The whole company is now owned. All of the profits from Patagonia now go to funding, supposedly saving the planet. Now, what does saving the planet look like to the left? Of course, it always means electing Democrats. No matter what cause they profess to be supporting, it always means electing Democrats. This group gave $100,000 each to Chuck Schumer's Senate Majority PAC and the House Majority PAC. It's funding groups like the Center for American Progress Action Fund, which is the place John Podesta used to work. It's funding the Black Voters Matter Fund, which is really telling about we've now transitioned from Black Lives Matter to Black Votes Matter. And now this group is facing an FEC complaint for not properly filing, allegedly, their campaign finance receipts. It's a gigantic rat's nest of money, and people really need to stop supporting it.
You heard it from Parker. Stop shopping at Patagonia. Okay, Parker, now walk us through some of this stuff, because this stuff gets so confusing. Even as you lay it out in writing, it can get confusing, let alone for people listening right now. Okay, walk me through a C4. What does that mean?
Yeah.
You mentioned all these C4s underneath this group. What's a C4? How's that work?
Yeah, so a 501c4 itself is totally fine. In fact, the left hates 501c4s, even though they use way more of them and fund them more heavily than the right does. A 501c4 is kind of what people associate with like lobbying. It's a public interest group, similar to a charity, but they're not. The contributions to them are not tax exempt. Half of what they do, essentially, there are a lot of complicated rules, but half of what they do has to be, by the IRS's definition, charitable. But the other half can be contributions to PACs, lobbying expenditures. And the reason the left doesn't like them is because people are allowed to contribute to these anonymously. They don't have to disclose their donors. Now, Lois Lerner would love to force people to disclose their donors. But we on the right, we don't really support doxing people. Now, the left uses way more of these 501c4s, which is the epitome of hypocrisy for them, because they hate Citizens United, the decision that really popularized these. They actually, even the New York Times says they use way more 501c4s than the right does. So, to have the largest 501c4 contribution in history being made to a left-leaning group, and then the entire mainstream media just ignores this fact, it's astonishing. And it's something that people really need to be aware of. You need to be aware of how you're spending your money, what companies you're giving your dollars to, because Patagonia isn't even a company anymore. It's just a left-wing activism group.
If you shop at Patagonia, you are funding the destruction of your society. I want to make sure I continue to emphasize that every dime goes to destroying
people who hate you.
Yeah, every dime goes to destroying you. Okay, Parker, can you tell me a little bit more about this guy, this Patagonia CEO, who just hands over his whole company to these various commie groups? Even for a dirtball commie, that's a rare thing. What is this guy?
Yeah, I mean, he grew up as, kind of like a normal person. He liked the outdoors, and then he found a way to make, he's a great capitalist. He found a way to make a profit off of the things that he loved. And he produced a really valuable company, employed a lot of people, created a lot of good products. But now as he's gotten older, maybe his kids have gone to college and come back woke, and then they started whispering in Dad's ear. And they've told him all sorts of lies about, the world is going to end in 2016, or I forget what Al Gore said. It was 2016, 2018. I'm sure that's been all of the years that the world was going to end.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's committed to funding climate change activism, which, of course, means funding things like abortion activists. It's the intersectional left that Yvonne has been taken in by. And now, like the legacy of so many great capitalists like Henry Ford and Andrew Carnegie, it's all funding basically socialist activism.
Speaking with investigative journalist Parker Thayer, who's exposing Patagonia and what they are. Parker, can you help me understand if this is all legal? Because the people listening right now, myself included, they hear, okay, so you're giving all this dirty commie money and you're funding Democrats with it, and you're allowed to be anonymous. How's that legal? Could a red state attorney general, for instance, break up this kind of organization?
Well, so anonymous political speech, as defended by the Citizens United decision, I think is a good thing that should be encouraged. I mean, it goes back to the Federalist Papers. Anonymous political speech is very useful in society, especially when you have left-wing cancel culture trying to destroy everybody who has an opinion mildly to the right of Mitt Romney. But in this case, the Americans for Public Trust has filed an FEC complaint against this organization because looking at their tax forms, there are some weird discrepancies that I won't even try to explain, but they're extreme. It seems clear that somewhere along the line, a campaign contribution, a contribution to a PAC, was mislabeled as being from one of these 5 nonprofits that the Patagonia is now owned by, when it was actually from another one, which means that there's some sort of weird collusion, one might say, going on between these nonprofits in a way that the FEC, the Federal Election Commission, does not allow. So I think that allegation absolutely should be looked into by the FEC, and if attorney generals can find a way to look into it, they should too, because when money in politics at the scale of $1.7 billion is being used in ways that it might not supposed to be, there is not a single bigger contribution in American history. It absolutely should be looked into by anyone who has the authority to look into it.
Parker, where can people read your work if they want to?
Absolutely. I'm on Twitter at Parker Thayer. I always try to have an excellent Twitter feed, but you can also catch me on capitalresearch.org. We have a great website. We're posting articles every day about the malfeasance of special interests in politics.
Parker, appreciate it, brother.
He doesn't care if you believe him, but he's right. Jesse Kelly.